Ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew. It is official. It is official. The Battle of the Davids. David Morrell versus David Benavidez. People have been talking about this fight for a very long time. This fight was destined to happen. Of course, a lot of people wanted this fight to happen when David Benavidez unified the titles, and even before then, in the 168-pound weight division. But it never happened. According to Benavidez's promoter, the great Samson Lukowitz, who mentioned this at the press conference earlier today, that David Morel have been asking him for the fight against David Benavidez for years now. And we have to give David Morel credit. I mean, David Morel is still green in the business. He only has 11 professional fights. He is undefeated. And 9 of those fights have come by way of knockout. David Morel is a southpaw. And we have to understand that southpaws typically look good against orthodox fighters. And one of the things that we also have to understand, particularly about David Morel, is his youth. Even though he doesn't have the experience that David Benavidez has, he has youth on his side. And when I say youth, I'm not just referring to his age, because he's 26 years old. And of course, Benavidez is 27. But I'm talking about his inexperience when I talk about youth. I mean, he's been a pro for only, a good part of about 5 years now, going on 6 years, right? So he's placed himself in a good position. I mean, if you go back and look at his last 5 fights, he's fought a lot of reputable opponents based on their records. And obviously he looked pretty good because he got David Benavidez's attention. But it's something else that stick out about David Morel, and I want to say this right now. His reach, which will pay dividends in this fight against David Benavidez. I'm not going to give a breakdown and prediction. Well, not yet anyway. Stay tuned for that. But that sticks out to me because he's going to come into this fight not only as a southpaw, not only standing 6'1", which is about an inch shorter than David Benavidez, but also with the reach advantage. Nearly a 4-inch reach advantage. And so when you look at a guy like David Morel, who's going up against a more experienced fighter, you still have to give him a chance. I mean, the last time we saw a fighter who had close to 12 professional bouts, or matter of fact, 11 to be exact, before he fought a legitimate future Hall of Fame world champion in multiple weight classes, Terrence Crawford, he looked good. And I'm talking about Madrimov. Of course, he didn't beat Terrence Crawford in my estimation, but he only had 11 pro fights. And here we are again seeing this movie play out that David Morrell, who has 11 professional fights, is going up against a world-class world champion in David Benavidez, someone who is more experienced than he is. And so we are in for a really, really good fight. A really, really good fight. Now, I have to say this. Most of you probably know this already. But David Benavidez, he is still suspended. Okay? He's still suspended. There's some things that have to be worked out, of course. But he is still suspended by the Nevada Athletic Commission until December the 13th of this year. So by the time his suspension is over, he will be able to resume a training camp for this fight. And David Benavidez, the Mexican monster, who he's more affectionately known as, I mean, the guy has 29 wins, undefeated, with 24 knockouts. So y'all already know that David Morrell's chin will be tested in this fight. But the great thing about it all, even though David Benavidez has the experience, the great thing about it is that we're seeing fights that we want to see in boxing. Two undefeated world-class fighters. These are the fights that we want to see. I mean, I know a lot of people complain a lot because of the fights that we don't get a chance to see, the fights that don't materialize, even when the fighters and professional boxers are going through quarrels and back and forths and arguments and throwing shots at each other, whether it be in person or through social media or through the media. These are fights that we're getting to see. And this is a fight that people wanted to see for a while. And David Morrell, he's been asking for this fight for years. And now he finally has the opportunity. And to do it on a major platform like Amazon Prime under the PBC banner and in Las Vegas, the T-Mobile Arena. It don't get any bigger than this. It don't get any bigger than this. But we shall see. Of course, it's going to be on pay-per-view. February the 1st, 2025. Kicking off the year. Blockbuster event. Undercard is definitely stacked, as always. Very competitive fights. I'll talk more about that later. But this is a fight that we all wanted to see at this point because we were waiting for Canelo Alvarez to step up to the plate and fight David Benavidez. But of course, for his own reasons, he don't want to fight David Benavidez, and by right, it's his choice. But David Benavidez is in a new division, 175. And David Morrell, same thing. Same thing. So, I mean, look, this is something that we all been waiting for. I mean, because check this out, right? Win, lose, or draw, you got to give David Morrell credit for stepping up to the plate. That's the thing I like about it. Stepping up to the plate. I'm not giving a prediction. I'm just saying he's stepping up to the plate. And also, you know, the last time we saw David Morrell was back in August, you know, in Los Angeles. Y'all remember that? Yeah, he was on the same card when Terrence Crawford fought. Madrimov. Y'all remember that? So, and that was a stacked card. And so now we get an opportunity to see if David Morrell is ready for top level opposition at 175 pounds. We're going to cook or air fry on this fight more and more as the time progresses. But I had to go ahead and do a video on this fight because it's good for business. From a boxing fan's perspective, yes, it is about the best fighting the best. It's about seeing two undefeated fighters square up in the square circle and fight. Yes, it's about defending world titles and capturing world titles. Yes, it is about that. But on top of all of that, they are professional boxers, and that's why it's called prize fighting. It's about business. And this fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell is good business. And this is what we all want to see. We want to see good business take place in the sport of boxing. Because when good business take place, guess what happens? Everyone wins. And the thing that I love about this card, and even this fight in particular, is that, and I'm going to break this down later on about the undercard and this fight, that good representation in this business is priceless. I've been telling y'all that time and time again. And we see that this fight materialized between David Benavidez and David Morrell because of good representation. The business is being done properly. And that's why we're able and going to be able to see a fight of this magnitude, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, first Saturday of the month of February in Vegas. It don't get no better than that. You know what? I'm doing way too much talking. Don't take my word for it. Roll the tape.